History is a real touchstone. I think to me it's what it means to be human. We don't just want to go through life without having a sense of who came before us. The mission of the Historical Society is to preserve and interpret Greenwich history, to strengthen the community's connection to our past, to each other, and to our future.
When people understand the history of where they live, it helps them put themselves into the broader context of the community. In other words, having that understanding, I think it makes it more fun to live in a place.
1920 is the base map.
People may not realize that Greenwich Avenue is on the National Register of Historic Places. There are really original buildings and architecture.
What we know today as Greenwich Avenue was originally known as the road to Piping Point. And Piping Point was in the vicinity of today's Roger Sherman Baldwin Park. The things really began to change with a lot of aspects of life in Greenwich with the coming of the railroad in 1848. And around the same time, 1854, a man by the name of John Dayton built the first commercial structure on Greenwich Avenue. And by the 1880s, the avenue from Lewis Street up to the Post Road was primarily commercial at that point. Trolley tracks were installed very early in the 20th century. And then we see the construction of a number of governmental buildings like the Havemeyer School, the Town Hall, the Post Office. And then by 1932, the avenue was improved greatly again. They widened it further. They actually at that point removed the trolley tracks. Automobiles were basically a predominant form of transportation by that point.
My dad grew up in Portchester, I think in 1923. He decided to move to Greenwich and set up a business on the bottom of Greenwich Avenue, a business that he learned about through my grandfather, the tobacco business. But my dad was a person that would give you his shirt off his back. The store was quite something, actually, and it was very difficult to even breathe. There was so much smoke there. That's why we lived above the store, and it was a cost-effective way to do it. You could see the trolley tracks protruding through the roadway on Greenwich Avenue. Of course, it was two ways. Coal was delivered to us. We had an ice box, not a refrigerator, so we had ice delivered to us.
Back to 1910, my grandmother and grandfather left New York City and moved to Greenwich. They rented a storefront at 388 Greenwich Avenue. We were known then as McGardo Seed Company. So I can remember walking the avenue. We had 2 big hardware stores. We had 6 food markets. We had 7 drugstores, all family operated. When I graduated in '63, my father purchased a plot of land on Arch Street, 48 Arch Street, where we are today.
Back in the 90s, gardening was the #1 hobby. Certainly one of our secret sauces is our friendliness. And my dad really instilled that in me.
We are the longest generation business in Greenwich, 114 years.
It was in March of '67, we bought the carnival card stop. It was cards and a lot of jewelry, $2 earrings. The carnival card stop is now Zara. This is all the Snoopy, and Snoopy used to have clothes.
When you're part of a family business, you try to make yourself as helpful as possible. I'm not even sure you have a choice. My dad used to say, all hands on deck. I was in the store all the time, so as a result, I learned how to work the cash register, how to make change.
We were a community. Our customers were all residents at the time. In those days, there weren't many sales, and my husband decided to have morning madness. From 6 to 7, it was 40 off. From 7 to 9, it was 30 off. There was lines down the street.
My dad created what was called a Downtown Retailers Association. My dad had all these crazy ideas to get life-size caricatures to come to the store on a Saturday or a Sunday to entertain the community. So we'd drive them down the avenue in a convertible Cadillac, and the crowds would pour over to him. In the 70s, that was unheard of.
I walked up and down the avenue and I said to Gordon, I'm going to love this town. I love this avenue. It has so much flavor. There was all mom and pop stores. There was a 5 and dime store. That's what it was like in 1990. So I went home and I said to Gordon, that's what I want to do. I want to open a bookstore. Everyone called him Mr. Books, and he couldn't be happier. He loved being called Mr. Books.
We purchased Hoagland's in 1988. Back in the 1980s, Greenwich Avenue was a lot of mom and pop stores and family-owned merchants. You could walk down the avenue and you could see Favorite Shoe Store, Hoagland's, Mead's, Woolworths. It's so important for our community to have Greenwich Avenue. I walk it every day.
In 1958, I was in 9th grade, 14 years old, and my dad was in the advertising business. We sat down to dinner one night, and he said, I just quit my job in advertising, and I'm about to open up a little clothing store. I said, excuse me, what? And I came in the business in 1965. I got out of college. We always knew that Greenwich was the jackpot if we could ever get a store here. We got the deal done, and we purchased Richards. They didn't have women's yet, and we knew we wanted to expand. So we did the deal. This was a gas station, and what we're sitting in now today, well, it was a dream come true.
Ed and Norma, I think they really set the tone for everything we do today. And our values, our sense of community, the way we do business. I mean, 4 generations in a family business is not only unheard of, it's a miracle. We are the unicorn on the Greenwich Avenue or the Rodeo Drive of the mom and pop, multi-brand, high-touch, relationship-driven business.
From a historical perspective, I think the sense of loss when you move from, family-owned businesses to more chain stores is that it's not only the businesses themselves and what they sell, but it's really the personal connection in the sense that the people who run these businesses are my neighbor. They're part of the community. These local businesses that do give back to the community, do sponsor various events, are a source of employment for young people.
We get involved in the community, we give back, we have fun, we celebrate.
History really gives us that foundation on which to build. It should be about the future. History is always changing. It needs to be there to help guide us and give us inspiration.